Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final episode of Wild Sports Talk on the IM6 network. As tonight we say goodbye to this show, but as you all know, we'll talk about it on the end, is that this show is still going to be the same thing as Wild Sports Talk, but the new show will be called Sports Weekly, which will begin next week. I'm LoroAntonio, will be the new host of Sports Weekly, and I've been the main host of Wild Sports Talk since joining the network alongside Isaiah Leong and Taylor Sean Ogata. So, fellas, how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good, Loro and Taylor. It's going to be a great show. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Baker trade. We got the Rudy Gobert trade. We have the Malcolm Brogdon trade. The Lakers and Kyrie rumors that's been swirling around. And, Chet Holmgren's debut. So it's definitely going to be a show that you guys definitely should grab your popcorn and tune in all the way to, because we got a lot of fireworks tonight. Hope all of you guys had a great 4th of July, speaking of fireworks. But yeah, I can't wait for the show. And, I like the new background that we got here for the final episode of Wild Sports Talk. We just had to put up something kind of related to the Wild Wild West to celebrate like the end of an era here of Wild Sports Talk. But before we do get started and before I give the floor to Taylor, I did have something special happen to me, and I was working the A's Blue Jays game on Tuesday. And if you're following me on Facebook, you know this by now. I actually got a foul ball hit by Blue Jays star Kevin Biggio. Hit it right into my section during batting practice. You see that little the dirt mark there. He crushed it into my section. Thankfully, there were no fans at that time because the gates hadn't opened. So I was able to pick it up, sneak it into my pocket, and take it home for my second foul ball that I've ever gotten in my life. So that was pretty cool. Shout out to you, Kevin Biggio. And yeah, let's get the show on the road, man.
Yeah, how's it going? I mean, I hope you had a good 4th, man.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But in addition to all the sports news, here's another exciting thing. The NHL draft was tonight, up in Montreal, and the Canadiens, who had the first overall pick, selected this guy from, I forget his name, but he's Russian or somewhere from Europe. I'm not sure, but at the same time, the my Anaheim Ducks took another Russian, a guy by the name of Pavel. This is another Russian. I forgot his name, but his first name is Pavel, and then also in the first round they took a Canadian by the name of Nathan Gauthier or something like that. And the future is bright for hockey in Anaheim, and at the same time, my Angels, a disappointing loss to one of the worst teams in baseball, the Baltimore Orioles. I mean, come on. They always beat good teams and lose to bad teams. I mean, what's up with that? This has just been another embarrassing year for the Angels. And I mean, as luck would have it, I have a feeling, well, I don't know. I'm trying to be an optimist here, but I have a feeling they just might not make the playoffs again this year. But hopefully, season's almost half over, and I have a feeling they're going to turn it around in the second half, hopefully.
Yeah, it's baseball. You never know here. But anyways, folks, let's start with some NFL football here. As today we had a shocking development with Baker Mayfield as the saga in Cleveland is finally over. So Matt Rule and the Carolina Panthers finally landed their veteran quarterback that they have been looking for all season long on Wednesday morning, as they acquired Baker Mayfield from the Cleveland Browns in exchange for a conditional 5th-round draft choice in the 2023 NFL Draft. The Browns have also agreed to pay $10.5 million of Baker Mayfield's salary for this upcoming season, and the Panthers are only on the hook for $4 million. So, anyways, my reaction to Baker Mayfield going to the Carolina Panthers, I think that what Isaiah said in one of his videos that he posted, he even said that He even said that the Carolina Panthers needed to do something to save Matt Rule's job in Carolina, and they did so in making a trade for Baker Mayfield. And do I think it means that the Panthers are going to challenge Tampa Bay in the NFC South? I could see it happening, but knowing Tom Brady, he has a 1-0 record against Baker Mayfield, so it might be a challenger there in that sense. But Carolina, with them getting Baker Mayfield, it makes him the starting quarterback right away. And I think that I also think that Sam Darnold is probably going to be off the hook here in Carolina here. That's my prediction now. But before Baker Mayfield was traded to Carolina, I predicted Matt Corral would be the starter, because I think that I would have wanted to see Carolina start with a new era, with a fresh arm and all that, get past the post Cam Newton era. But they think that Matt Corral needs a little time to develop. And that's why making this move to get Baker made sense for the Carolina Panthers. And this might have saved Matt Rule's job. And David Tepper, the owner, finally got that wish. And he might not be he probably will cut back on being impatient with Matt Rule. Isaiah, based on what I said, do you think, like, honest opinion here, you think that the Carolina Panthers can challenge the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC South? And what was your reaction when you first heard the news about Baker Mayfield heading to the Carolina Panthers?
Well, Loro and Taylor, I have been chomping at the bit to give my reaction to this trade for the last 24 to 27 hours, because I've got some explosive stuff I got to spew tonight. And I know my guy John Alcorn is watching the show. Shout out to you, John. By the way, he says the Browns and the Cavs are a sad excuse for a franchise. But shout out to you, John, and also shout out to you, Casey, who says, good evening, guys. You know, let me start first by this. This is a grand slam of a trade by Matt Rule and the Carolina Panthers. There were three things that came out of this trade for me last night or yesterday morning when the Carolina Panthers made this trade to acquire Baker Mayfield. Number one, Matt Rule just secured another year in Carolina as the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, because we discussed this on many times, whether it was on Extra Point or whether it was on WST. We said Matt Rule cannot go into the season with Sam Darnold as his quarterback or Matt Corral, because I like Matt Corral. I think that he has a lot of talent, but you can't put that much expectations on a young rookie quarterback to basically go in, and you have to win right away. You have to get a proven veteran quarterback to come in and unlock the pieces that the Carolina Panthers have at their disposal on the offensive side of the football. Remember, the Carolina Panthers, they have that running back, Christian McCaffrey. When he's healthy, he is the best running back in the NFL. You have a rebuilt offensive line. They poured a lot of draft picks and money to rebuild that offensive line and make it stronger than ever. The wide receiving corps, I think it's one of the top 10 wide receiving corps in the NFL. You look at DJ Moore and you look at Robbie Anderson, two of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. They got a lot of talent on offense. Defense, I think they're also very, very underrated in that regard. And remember, the Panthers started out 3-0, right? They started out 3-0 before Sam Darnold flamed out, and that was all she wrote for the Carolina Panthers. This is going to secure another year for Matt Rule as the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, because Baker Mayfield is one of the most underrated veteran quarterbacks in the NFL. He gets hate for no reason, just because he's like a cocky personality. He's a guy that wears his emotion on his sleeve, and everybody hates him for that regard. Last time I checked, in 2020, when Baker Mayfield was healthy, when he was fully healthy, Baker Mayfield threw for over 3,600 yards. He had 25 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. And remember, that was because he had a great running back in the backfield, or great running back duo in the backfield. He had a good wide receiving corps, and he had a good offensive line, which he's going to have in Carolina. Last year, he was injured for the most part. He had a shoulder injury, and he had like various injuries. He threw for 3,010 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. I think the reason why he threw for that many picks was because Odell wasn't there anymore. The Browns' offensive line was beat up. The Baker Mayfield was having injuries left and right. So I don't really put that on Baker Mayfield. I put more of, I think 2020 is more of what we're going to see from Baker Mayfield in Carolina. Baker Mayfield's a winner. You better believe that with Carolina's schedule, with the pieces that they have on offense, with Baker Mayfield now at quarterback for Matt Rule and Carolina, you better believe that Matt Rule's going to have a winning season there in Carolina. They were close to a winning season last year. They're going to have it now with an upgrade at the quarterback position. And the second thing this really, really told me yesterday was, what on earth was the Cleveland Browns doing? Like, I get that the relationship with Baker Mayfield and the Browns was just completely shattered. Baker was not going to be their quarterback moving forward, but for the Browns to only get a conditional 5th-round pick back and then to have to pay $10.5 million and basically pay Mayfield to play against them, what are you doing? Because now Deshaun Watson, there's most likely that he's going to be suspended for the entire year. So you're going to need another quarterback. What are you going to do? Go get Jimmy G now while paying Baker Mayfield to not play for you? What I think the Browns should have done, Loro and Taylor, is I think the Cleveland Browns, call me crazy, but Baker Mayfield, I think what the Browns should have done is they should have tried to mend the fences. They should not have been so open and so public in going after Deshaun Watson in the first place, because if you did sign him and you did get him and he gets suspended, now what? You're going to start Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback? No, you have Baker Mayfield right here who could have been that perfect backup option. I think the Browns completely bombed the situation with Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson, and it does go to John's point that, yes, Cleveland, the Browns and the Cavs are a sad excuse for a franchise. I totally agree. They are. They completely messed up the Baker Deshaun Watson situation. And then the third thing I got out of this is, Loro Taylor, Tom Brady woke up Wednesday morning and was like, oh, man, I'm chilling in Florida, drinking my martinis or whatever he's got drinking. I'm going on vacations left and right, and I'm just having a blast because, the division's going to be so easy. The NFC South, you have potentially Matt Corral and Sam Darnold as quarterback for the Panthers. You have Marcus Mariota as quarterback of the Falcons. You have Jameis Winston in New Orleans. This division's going to be a wrap. But Matt Rule and the Carolina Panthers gave Tom Brady and the Bucs that stiff arm and told them not so fast. And he went out and got that underrated winner that is Baker Mayfield to be his quarterback, and he made a grand slam of a move to get Baker Mayfield as his quarterback. And let me tell you right now, if I'm a betting man, I'm taking the Carolina Panthers to win the NFC South because they got the pieces, they got the running back, they got the offensive line, they got the wide receivers. Everybody's hating on Christian McCaffrey and all that. Remember, he played under a terrible offensive line. That's why he was getting injured left and right. Now you have the offensive line, you got the receivers, you got the running back. McCaffrey, I think, will stay healthy. Now you got Baker Mayfield, who won't turn the football over, and he will be that perfect game manager that will help you win games, and the defense takes another leap under Phil Snow. I think this team will surprise a lot of people, and I'm telling you right now, do not be shocked if the Carolina Panthers win the NFC South, just because I think Tampa Bay, there's some issues going on internally that we don't know much about. Also, Tampa Bay, Chris Godwin's coming off a torn ACL. Antonio Brown is gone. Yes, you have Brady, but the offensive line lost a lot of pieces. And remember, in football, it's all about the trenches. And if you don't win the battle of the trenches, it doesn't matter who you have at quarterback. You could have Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady as quarterback, and you will still not go anywhere if you don't give them enough time to throw the football. It's going to be a very fascinating race, but the Carolina Panthers, this is a winning move, a winning grand slam move by the Carolina Panthers, and it puts them in the driver's seat, I believe, in the NFC South.
It might be. I mean, I think it might be right here, but I'm going to stick with you for a minute here. So you believe that the Panthers really held on to Sam Darnold following the acquisition of Baker, which leaves Carolina, both Baker and former number 3 pick, and their starting quarterback from last year, Sam Darnold, in the fold. Multiple Panthers report that Carolina has no intention of Sam Darnold, and adding Baker Mayfield would instead hold a QB competition for Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold for the starting job. Who do you think starts week 1? My pick is Baker Mayfield over Sam Darnold.
It's got to be Baker Mayfield. This is a no-brainer. You know, you got Baker Mayfield, who, let me say this once again, one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the NFL. And I said this to my guy, Brandon Herrera, and others yesterday when we were having our post-show call on the Coast to Coast Network. Shout out to those guys. But I said, if you gave me Mahomes, if you gave me Lamar Jackson with his great legs and Mahomes' great arm, or you gave me Baker Mayfield, who would I want? I would want Baker Mayfield, and the reason why is because Baker Mayfield wins. I don't care if you have the greatest arm in the world. I don't care if you have the greatest legs in the world. I want wins. I want the W. And Baker Mayfield is very underrated. He gives you the wins. He knows how to win games. He's clutch. He is very, very calm under pressure. And I just think that, you know, you got to go with Baker. You know, Sam Darnold showed his deficiencies last year. He showed that he's very turnover prone, which is not a surprise if you watched him out of USC. And then the other guys that they have, Matt Corral, he's too young. I would rather sit him for a year, let him learn for a year. And then you have PJ Walker, who I think is a backup. But it's got to be Baker Mayfield, because Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. The numbers might not show it, but Baker Mayfield, I think, is better. Baker is more reliable. Baker is tough. Baker is clutch. Baker is a guy who, you know, when the pressure's on, you know, you can count on him to come through when it's under pressure, whereas Sam Darnold, when the pressure's on, he's going to fold. So you got to go with Baker Mayfield, man. You got to go. Baker Mayfield has to be the starter, and he's not the starter, man. Matt Rule's got to be fired before week 1, because you don't trade for a quarterback like Baker Mayfield if you don't start him. You make him a backup. Like, that's utterly ridiculous, man. And I think Matt Rule, let me just say this. Matt Rule is ridiculous for saying they're going to have a quarterback competition. We all know you're not having a quarterback competition. This is Baker Mayfield's job. It better be Baker Mayfield's job if you want to save your job, Matt Rule, because we've seen the stuff out of Sam Darnold. He's turnover prone. He is very deficient. He's a guy that is, my opinion, I don't think he's even a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, Sam Darnold is not either. But anyway, so talk about this. After being hesitantly retained for a 3rd year in a row and given a mandate by owner David Tepper to win now or be gone, do you believe Baker Mayfield will save Sam Darnold, save Matt Rule? I beg your pardon. Sorry, I said Sam Darnold, Matt Rule in Carolina. I could see that happening, guys. But at the same time, too, Isaiah, I think that if you look at it, I think that it might be, but regardless, Matt Rule is on the hot seat still.
Yes, Matt Rue is on the hot seat in Carolina, but I do believe Baker Mayfield will save Matt Rue's job, just because when you look at the Carolina Panthers schedule, right? You look at the Carolina Panthers schedule, and we've said for a long time that Matt Rue has to win in order to save his job this season with the Carolina Panthers. You look at the division. That division, they can win that division. That division, besides the Buccaneers, it's Bucks, Panthers, and then everybody else. Jameis Winston coming off a torn ACL. I don't know how he's going to be. Remember, quarterbacks that come off a torn ACL, they're not really that effective that first year. And when you look at the Panthers schedule, they got the Browns to start the season. We don't know if Deshaun Watson's going to play that game. Most likely he's going to be suspended, so it's going to be Jacoby Brissett. You have to win that game. Then they got the Giants, right? So they'll be probably 2-0, and then you have New Orleans. That's a game that's always tricky because division games are always tricky, but it's still at home. That's a game that you need to win. Then it's the Cardinals, the 49ers, and then the Rams. That's going to be a tough stretch right there. I could see them being 3-3, or if they could somehow pull one of them off, it'll be 4-2. And then you have the Bucks. You'll be like a 500 team at that point, but then you have the Falcons. You have the Falcons again, and then you have Bengals, Ravens, Broncos, Seahawks, with Detroit after that, with Steelers, Saints. I think they're going to be a 500 team. I really do. I think when I look at it right now, I think that if you asked me to predict the Panthers schedule with Baker Mayfield and with Christian McCaffrey running the show, I think they're probably like a 10-6 team. I could see it. Like, I think they beat up on the Falcons. I think they beat up on the Saints. I think they beat up on the Giants. I think they beat up on all those teams. And I think that when you look at the Rams, I would not be shocked if the Rams have a Super Bowl hangover. You look at the other teams, I would not be shocked if the Bengals have a Super Bowl hangover as well, which is very likely because they lost a lot of pieces in the offseason. And then you look at, Seahawks, they're going to be bad. Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett, I don't really trust them. Detroit, I think Carolina could easily have 10 wins. So I think we'll save Matt Rue's job, because I think getting Baker Mayfield automatically means that you're going to have at least a 500 record.
Going to Taylor here. I mean, I want to get your thoughts here and what your thoughts are on the Baker Mayfield trade. And do you also believe that there is going to be a quarterback competition with the Carolina Panthers between Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield? And before you do that, tell us who your NFL team is and why.
Well, my NFL team is the I do root for the San Francisco 49ers, and I do root for the Arizona Cardinals at times, and I also like to root for the LA Chargers as well. But anyways, about the situation with Baker Mayfield being traded to Carolina, I mean, I don't think this is an elite level quarterback, and I don't think the Panthers have had an elite level quarterback since John Kitna. And but now with Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, I have a feeling, I think Isaiah is right. There will be a competition for the first string quarterback in Carolina. But in any event, I just think this was also a bad move on the Browns' part, because who's going to be their first string quarterback now? And last season for the Browns was their first winning season since, say, 2007 or something. And I mean, this is just, I think it was a bad move on the Browns' part. But if you look at the Panthers, this could probably save, the general manager, Matt Rue. This could probably save his job, because, like Isaiah said, his job, they've had a lot of losing seasons, and therefore his job is now in jeopardy. But this could probably save his job. So, this, I mean, and at the same time with the quarterback competition, that's also, exciting, especially when, the Panthers haven't had an elite level quarterback since John Kitna. So this is definitely what the Panthers are probably looking for, and especially to bail out Matt Rue.
It might bail out Matt Rule, but also, so you think that overall, you think that this is a good trade for the Carolina Panthers, and And do you believe that Baker Mayfield will save Matt Rule's job in Carolina?
He probably will because, if Baker Mayfield, if he performs to expectations, then this this will definitely save his job for sure. Because, I mean, there's a reason why they got him, and it would definitely bail him out.
It definitely will bail him out. But anyways, back to the comments here. Tim Fiedler comes in and says, Sarge, he says that you just jinxed my Carolina Panthers. And Casey King also says the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will still win the NFC South, and they will be better if they could stay healthy. And Christy Wilson chimes in and also says, the NFC South is going to be interesting. And she also says, as long as Baker Mayfield doesn't cause any problems, he should be fine. And in Carolina, that's what she meant here. And then John says that it's funny because the Panthers went to the Super Bowl with Jake Delhomme, and they also lost to Brady. But the Panthers' last Super Bowl appearance was against Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos. So, anyways, Christy says, and with Cam Newton too. So, anyways, there's a question here. Will Baker Mayfield save Matt Rule's job in Carolina? I could see that. I mean, he still has a lot of years left in his contract. But anyways, we're going to shift over after the Baker Mayfield trade. Where does the market leave for Jimmy Garoppolo and the San Francisco 49ers? Oh, man, that is such a bad deal. I really think that now this is the worst case scenario for the San Francisco 49ers, is that they're going to have to cut ties with Jimmy Garoppolo if I were them, because I think that it's time. And I think it's time, and I think that the Niners need to move forward with Trey Lance. So what about you, Isaiah? What is your thoughts on this?
Well, if you're a Panthers fan like Sarge yesterday, you should be very jubilant that you finally got your quarterback, your veteran quarterback, and you should be celebrating on the streets of downtown Carolina. But if you were a Niners fan like me, well, you would be super devastated because there were two teams that I think we're going to trade for Baker Mayfield. Number one was going to be the Carolina Panthers. It was going to be the Carolina Panthers, and now that's not going to happen because they just acquired Baker Mayfield, and they only got a conditional fifth, or they gave up a conditional fifth-round pick. That's the only thing that the Carolina Panthers gave up to acquire Baker Mayfield. And then the other team was, a lot of people were throwing out Seattle, but I just don't think it's likely because a lot of the times you rarely see teams trading in division. So I don't really see that happening. So I agree with you, Loro. That yesterday was a very devastating time for the San Francisco 49ers because now you're most likely going to have to cut bait and release Jimmy Garoppolo because I don't think any team is going to want to trade for him in his $25 million salary. And I really just don't think any team, especially with his shoulder issues, is going to want to give anything back for him. So, and there's no suitors out there anymore. So I really don't see, I really don't think there's an option in which you trade Jimmy. I think that what's going to happen in the end is I think that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be released by the 49ers because they just simply can't find a trade partner.
They simply can't here, and we want to welcome Ben here. Ben, you're just joined us late. Give us your whole thoughts on Baker Mayfield being a Carolina Panther, and also to give us your thoughts about, is there even a trade market for Jimmy Garoppolo, which we're on to right now?
Well, I got three things to say. First of all, thank you all for having me. I know I was a little late to the party. I was still trying to digest my loss to the New York Yankees tonight for the third straight loss. rivalry game, so it was a tough loss. Big series so this weekend. Second of all, I was obviously in this group chat and seeing the Isaiah hot take from yesterday about the Carolina Panthers and Baker Mayfield. And let me tell you that I'm not surprised that Isaiah had this because, and Taylor, it's great to be on with you as well as Laura and Isaiah here. But it's not surprising because he said that the Jacksonville Jaguars were going to be in the mix for the AFC what?
South.
South. Yes, AFC South. So I'm thinking about this. I'm like, wait, Isaiah, you're out of your mind. I probably said, are you crazy? But then I wake up this morning. I'm thinking to myself, wait, he had this hot take about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now I'm not really that surprised. But I did listen to your comments, Isaiah, and I can understand your logic on it. In terms of my overall thoughts about this, I wasn't surprised that the Browns obviously moved on from Baker Mayfield. I thought Carolina was obviously the logical destination because I think that they were going to take the salary, but I'm just surprised in terms of the timing, in terms of how long it took. I think really it was a huge thing with the Browns was Deshaun Watson and obviously a lot of the cases. And part of me thought that maybe that they might hold on to Baker Mayfield because it's like they don't have any other option. I think they might have Jacoby Brissett maybe as their backup right now to Deshaun Watson, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I think this is a very interesting fit there. Now, with that being said, I don't think specifically they're going to win the NFC South. I still think that it's, Brady obviously got hurt or something. Obviously, things might change, but I just still look at that logic. Even though they don't have Bruce Arians anymore, they got most of their guys back. Outside of, Gronk obviously is retired. We'll obviously think about that because we said about Brady. I think Gronk's maybe just playing mind games, doesn't want to try to get hurt in training camp, but we'll see how that goes. But really, still, I understand Isaiah said about Godwin, but one thing about Tom Brady that I've always known as a Patriot fan is he makes the other guys best play at their best, even if it's a younger guy. You look at a guy like a Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman was a guy that was a punt returner at Kent State. He played quarterback, and essentially he was like a slot guy, punt returner. And he made him out to be just an insane receiver, one of the best Patriots that we've seen. So, I think personally it's going to be the Bucs just because they still have a lot of their returners back, but kind of offensively and defensively, even though it's a new coaching staff. I know that they're a little banged up in the offensive trenches, which I do understand your point, Isaiah, with that. But I just look at still that you guys still have playmaking. You're still going to have the coaching. Matt Rule just still hasn't proven yet to me that regardless of who the next quarterback is. I thought Sam Darnold was going to be an interesting fit with Matt Rule and kind of look what's happened so far. Not really a whole lot of signs to me so far that it's really gone well. But I got to say this. I think Baker Mayfield really, if he can put it all together, I think he's still a very serviceable quarterback. He's a game manager. He reminds me a lot of like a Teddy Bridgewater type, better version, I'd say. But I saw Baker Mayfield last year in Foxborough against the Patriots, and this was actually the game that he got injured. I believe he got sacked by Matt Judon, and he hurt his shoulder. It could have been felt like a dislocated shoulder, but it didn't play. It was in the second half. I think the Pats were still up by quite a bit, but that was a huge kind of turning point, and he was pretty much injured for a lot of the rest of that season. But when he is healthy, he has proven at times where he's been pretty good. I think he took the Browns to AFC Championship a couple years ago against the Kansas City Chiefs. So, that's obviously, you guys have to respect that. But I just think it's the consistency with Baker and obviously his injury issues in terms of just a huge red flag still to me that, yes, I think that he's a very serviceable quarterback, but I look at all the quarterbacks in that division. Can Carolina maybe become a second-place team in that division? Sure, because the Saints specifically still, Jameis Winston or Baker Mayfield. Take your pick. I just don't know specifically what the Saints are really kind of looking at. I can go on and on and on about this, but I obviously want to let you guys chime in again. The Jimmy Garoppolo situation is very interesting. I know, Isaiah, I was obviously with yourself as a San Francisco fan, being very kind of keyed in on what's going on. I haven't really looked as of late about the Jimmy G stuff, but the one team that would be kind of interesting to me is the Cleveland Browns. And I don't know if the Cleveland Browns have assets. I think Cleveland is a team because Deshaun Watson, you still don't know specifically how many games and if he's going to play football at all. If Jacoby Brissett essentially is their backup, Jacoby Brissett could still be with somebody else. It'd be kind of similar like the Miami situation, but Tua was out. I think they had Ryan Fitzpatrick maybe and Jacoby Brissett kind of going back and forth, kind of switching, trying to see kind of the right fit there. So I think either there or I think that still. I know Isaiah, you love your some Drew Lock, but I think that Drew Lock might need to have some competition, maybe in Seattle. I think Jimmy would be okay there. So I think there could be a more decent market still for Jimmy. I just don't know where specifically, and I just don't know what kind of package you could really get, especially for a guy that's very injury prone. Yeah. So I know I said a lot there, and I appreciate you guys for being with me. But yeah, that's kind of what overall I have as of right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what Ben said, I mean, I think that he nailed it right there. So, Taylor, what are your thoughts on if Jimmy Garoppolo is going to get traded? You think? I don't think he's going to get traded. I think that the Niners are probably going to release him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he does get released because I mean, he had his moments, and now it's his time. I think his time is up because he's. I mean, even with him in the lineup, the Niners haven't been, they haven't been the team they were before ever since they went to the Super Bowl. And I mean, he had that one Super Bowl. He floundered against Mahomes and the Chiefs, and I mean, I just think his time is up. So, and then at the same time, to maybe trade him to some contender or who knows what. But I just saw one of the comments. Jimmy G to Cleveland. That's a possibility, but I mean, for Deshaun, I mean, with Deshaun Watson suspended, so I mean, yeah, if Watson's suspended for a long time, then it might work out there. Who knows? But at the same time, for the Niners to part ways with Jimmy after only 3-4 seasons, I mean, that's just, I mean, I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if they released him anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think they will probably release him here. But the final NFL topic here is that the Washington Commanders and stud wide receiver Terry McLaurin agreed to a massive 3-year extension worth $71 million. I think he is going to be a big part of this Washington Commanders future. I think that you have Carson Wentz as a number 1 receiver. He has a number 2 receiver in Jahan Dotson. I think that this was a good move for the Washington Commanders because they want Terry McLaurin to be a part of their future. And Ben, I'll go with you. What are your thoughts on the Commanders extending Terry McLaurin to a 3-year deal, which was worth $71 million?
Yeah, well, you saw kind of the wide receiver market really shaping out. Obviously, a lot of the wide receiver draft class of like guys like A.J. Brown and Deebo Samuel, and obviously Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is, I think, one of the most underrated, underappreciated receivers in the National Football League. I think that he essentially is on a team that's very he just doesn't get a lot of credit in terms of what he's done. He's had back-to-back 1,000+ yard receiving yard seasons. He only had 5 touchdowns, but he's had the last 2 seasons combined 87 receptions and 77 receptions, and he's obviously their main key target in the key situations as a receiver. I also obviously liked him because I'm an Ohio State Buckeye fan, so I just really kind of liked this game from the start from college. But the overall contract specifically, not too shabby as a whole. $71 million. I mean, he got the bag, but Carson Wentz obviously has his toy in order to work with. I'm not a huge Carson Wentz fan specifically, just because I've obviously seen him trying to work in different situations, and I just think that there's just a lot of different quarterbacks that I just take right now. Specifically, it's just Wentz just has too many injury problems, and obviously injuries you can't control, unfortunately. But between injuries and his turnover ratio is just pretty poor. I think Terry McLaurin's obviously going to help that a lot in terms of him just getting the receptions it needs, and just he was able to stay loyal. I know that there was probably a little speculation that they want to make sure he's locked up now, and obviously not have teams going out there for maybe like a trade or something for him, like a guy like a Debo, which I still think personally Debo is going to stay. I think at this point in time, for what it's worth, that he would be somewhere else. I know that like by this past year's draft, maybe like a team like the Jets, and I think that the Jets came like a decent offer. San Francisco denied it. So I think that Debo is going to be in the long haul with the Niners, which I think is the right move. And then A.J. Brown. Obviously, the A.J. Brown, he's right around the same draft class, but he really wanted to get a big extension. The Titans obviously probably lowballed him. And, obviously the reactions we had during the NFL draft of the trade that A.J. Brown had to the Philadelphia Eagles, a very big blockbuster, stunning move, I think, for all of us. You saw in terms of, okay, after the money that A.J. Brown got, who was going to be next? That was going to be Deebo Samuel, obviously, what his situation is going to be, and obviously Terry McLaurin. So McLaurin obviously deserves it. I'm really happy for him. And, maybe get him in fantasy this year, just because I think he's just going to ball out like he has been at least for the last couple of years here.
What about you, Isaiah? I mean, I think that this was a good move for the Washington Commanders here. What was your thoughts about Terry McLaurin getting an extension with the Commanders?
I thought the Commanders really did a good job on this deal, because when you look at it, $71 million over 3 years is not really that much money. Because if you had looked at like the hierarchy of wide receivers and them getting their money, you would think, okay, A.J. Brown got this much. He probably wants to get more than that. And, you saw the Devontae Adams deal or the Tyreek Hill deal. I thought that Terry McLaurin was going to go out of his way and try to get like $28 million. But for him to only get 71 and take a little bit less to help the team win is, I think, a really good deal for the Washington Commanders, because it saves them a lot of money. Plus, it lets them keep one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And you had to do it, because Terry McLaurin, he was like the main veteran there. He was an absolute monster of a wide receiver in the nation's capital. And if you would let him go and you did what the Titans did and traded away A.J. Brown, you would be banking on a lot of rookies to be your main wide receiving corps. And, you need that proven target for Carson Wentz. So I think that the Commanders did a great job on this deal, and I think they really made out well. I think both sides made out well in this deal, in Terry McLaurin getting the money, and I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, I think it was a win-win for the Washington Commanders here. And what about you, Taylor? What are your thoughts on the Washington Commanders giving Terry McLaurin an extension?
Well, I don't know too much about the Commanders, but I'll take Isaiah's and Ben's word for it, because Terry McLaurin, this guy sounds like an elite player, and the Commanders, they haven't, ever since they changed their name from Redskins to just Washington Football Team, and now with the new name Commanders, they haven't had that many winning seasons. But now I think this probably could be their year. Who knows?
It might be their year, but you're right. Who knows here? But anyways, now switching gears to the NBA now, as we had a dramatic moves of free agency here. So we'll start with the Timberwolves making a big splash here to kind of help increase their chances of going far into the playoffs as the Minnesota Timberwolves acquired star center Rudy Gobert from the Utah Jazz that sent 3 first-round picks, a pick swap to Utah, and also Patrick Beverley and Walker Kessler, a first-round pick, and Malik Beasley, as well as power forward Jared Vanderbilt. So, you know what I think about this? What I think of this, guys? I think that Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, you better watch out because you got 2 guys that play great defense. You got 1 guy that could shoot the outside jumpers and threes, and Karl Anthony Towns. Gobert will give you rebounds, give you dunks, putbacks, and block shots. So you have the Twin Towers in the Twin Cities. Isaiah, what are your thoughts on this move? And I tell you what, Gobert and the Cat, they're the Twin Towers of the Twin Cities.
2 words. Massive overpay. That's the 2 words I'm going to use regarding this deal. Rudy Gobert is a nice player. He's a really good player. But you can't tell me that he is worth all the stuff that the Timberwolves gave up to get him. Like 3 first-round picks, basically a 4th first-round pick because they traded away Walker Kessler, who was their first-round pick in this past draft, to Utah, and also a pick swap. That's basically 5 first-round picks right there. And then you also trade away Patrick Beverley, who was the heart and soul of your team this past season. You trade away Malik Beasley, who's a very underrated shooting guard, and also Jared Vanderbilt. But I want to touch on the 4 or the 5 first-round picks. Rudy Gobert is a great player, but there's no way he's worth 5 first-round picks that the Minnesota Timberwolves gave up. I would say the max that he's worth is like 2 first-round picks. That's it. Like, there's no way any team should be giving up that type of package to get Rudy Gobert. It does make Minnesota a contender in the West because you have Gobert now and Towns. Towns can focus more on doing his stuff on the outside of the perimeter, while Gobert can dominate on the inside. And with D'Angelo Russell, it will be a scary trio for sure. But I just don't like how the Timberwolves, with Tim Connolly now running the show in Minnesota, gave up that much for Rudy Gobert. Like, this is not Kevin Durant or LeBron James we're talking about, that you have to give him 5 first-round picks and a couple other players to get this type of player. This is Rudy Gobert. He's a nice player, but he struggles on the perimeter when it comes to defense. He's a great shot blocker, a great rebounder, but he's a nice player. He's not like a superstar Kevin Durant, LeBron, Devin Booker, Steph Curry type player where he's worth 5 first-round picks. I think this was a massive overpay by the Minnesota Timberwolves. And Ben, your former GM, Danny Ainge, Trader Danny as they call him, robbed Minnesota and got a boatload back in this deal. And I think the Jazz, even though the Timberwolves got the better player, I think in the long run, I think the Jazz got the better deal because they got a boatload in return. And it's just a massive, massive overpay by the Minnesota Timberwolves that, hey, their window, I think, is going to be the next 3 to 4 years. And after that, you're basically screwed because all your picks are sent to Utah. So I don't like this deal one bit for Minnesota. It makes them good right now, but you traded way too much for Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, I think you might have traded for Rudy. You traded too much here, that's for sure. Ben, what is your thoughts on the Timberwolves getting Rudy Gobert to pair with Karl Anthony Towns in the front court of the Minnesota Timberwolves?
You know, I could recall the day that it happened, and I was at work, and I obviously was during the NBA free agency, and I saw the tweet the day before I had work, the day I had to go to work, about Rudy Gobert and Minnesota Timberwolves potentially having a trade. And I was thinking to myself, well, I know the Jazz possibly were going to rebuild possibly down the road, and maybe Donovan Mitchell might be on the move, which at least by this point in time and now, according to Brian Windhorst, which I overall like Wendy's stuff. He was saying the other day that it looks like Donovan Mitchell's going to stay, which I think personally, as of right now, I think it's a mistake by him. I think personally he should get out when he can, because I think the Jazz are more in a um, selling type mode moving forward than being a top contender. I think they're a very good team, but I think that they're going to soon be a team that I think that is going to need some selling to happen. But I 100% agree with Isaiah. I think that Rudy Gobert is a very good player. He's not an all-world. Heck, I'd even take Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I mean, this will bias me, but I even take Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum over a guy like a Rudy Gobert. I think Rudy Gobert might be right around that conversation, but it's not like Rudy Gobert has won anything drastic in his career before. None like, I mean, he's won obviously Defensive Player of the Years, I think, in the past. He's a very good shot blocker, but the overall haul is just insane. And another thing too is, obviously, I don't know if we'll talk about the latest with the Kevin Durant situation, but the T Wolves asked for Cat. The Nets asked for Cat, Anthony Edwards, couple first round picks, and I don't know who else that was, and that didn't even get it done. So it's just like Utah and the T Wolves ready to figure out that trade, but the T Wolves wouldn't work out a possible trade for it. The T Wolves wouldn't want to get a guy like a Kevin Durant or a Rudy Gobert. I mean, I just don't really know the direction the T Wolves are really going either. I mean, yeah, it's a really fun story when you have Rudy Gobert and Cat together, kind of a nasty front court. But I mean, that's a lot return wise for a guy that's a very good player, but hasn't really won much besides being a very great defensive player. He's a very good rebounder as well too, but I just think the haul is a little too much in terms for what it's worth as a player.
Yeah, and what about you, Taylor? Do you think that this was a good move for the was this a good move for the Minnesota Timberwolves to get Karl Anthony Towns, another front court mate, and Rudy Gobert? I think that this is going to be great for the T-Wolves. I think the T-Wolves are going to be legit this year.
Yeah, I have a feeling they will too, because, they've got it. I mean, now with Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, I mean, they're going to be a dynamic duo. Like Isaiah said, the Twin Towers, the Stifle Tower and the Cat, a dynamic duo right there. As far as the Jazz are concerned, I mean, they got big, 4 first round picks, but same time, Patrick Beverly, he can, get a fresh start somewhere else, like in Utah in this case. And at the same time, but I think, like you all said, Rudy Gobert is a heck of a player. I mean, not quite, at the level as, say, LeBron or Durant or, but, still he's getting there. And eventually, he's probably going to develop into a star one of these days. So I think this is probably a good move by Minnesota to finally get a dynamic duo, something they haven't had in a while since the days of, say, Kevin Garnett and who knows who else.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. But I think that this makes the West a little bit tougher here. So, anyways, folks, now we'll talk about here. I think, in my opinion, I think that this makes the T-Wolves at least a top 5 team in the West. So the Celtics acquired Malcolm Brogdon from the Indiana Pacers that sent Daniel Theis, Aaron Nesmith, Nick Stauskas, Malik Fitz, Jawan Morgan, and a 2023 first-round pick to the Indiana Pacers. I know, Ben, you love this pick. What do you think Malcolm Brogdon's going to bring to the Boston Celtics?
Yeah, so I was really, obviously, as a Celtics fan, loving this season from this past year. Obviously, that overall turnaround. And obviously, I've said this before. Yes, I'm obviously disappointed the way things ended, but looking back now, it's now obviously been weeks. this team obviously really is in a very good position for the future with two very good stars. I don't go superstars yet because they haven't really gone to win the championship, but they're really two good stars, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And obviously, we should build around those guys. Obviously, not trying to get them for like a Kevin Durant type, even though Katie and Boston would be like a dream come true. But we needed to get a couple of guys kind of just fit in during free agency. And I was talking about Malcolm Brogdon actually before. I was like, how about Malcolm Brogdon? Like, that would be an awesome move for this Boston Celtics team because the Celtics really need to get a guy really to kind of fit the puzzle here now for the starting five unit. A guy that can be very gritty and tough and also be very good offensively with dribbling the basketball. The Celtics had a hard time last year in the playoffs. A lot of just Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum obviously dribbling it by themselves up the court. And I'm thinking to myself, yes, that's great and all, but it'd obviously be nice if they can obviously play a lot off ball too. And we couldn't really have much of a chance with that last year just because we didn't have a true point guard. Malcolm Brogdon is a true point guard. And obviously I loved this game in Virginia. And he played there in college. He played very good with Indiana. I was looking at his stats. Malcolm Brogdon's just getting better and better with this game. Now, I'm not saying he's like crazy, awesome, and good, but he's a very good, solid role player that I think that we can use either on the bench or in our starting five unit. Malcolm Brogdon last year, I think, if I can't, I look at his overall numbers. In 2021, in 33 minutes, he averaged 19 points a game, 5.1 rebounds a game. That's for an Indiana team, I know, with him and Miles Turner, which, by the way, I have to talk about Miles Turner because it looks like Miles Turner, they're trying to shop as well. Well, obviously, I have to try to find out where he goes at some point. But Malcolm Brogdon had just some monumental games. The last couple of seasons, he's been relatively healthy, and I think this is just a great move. Even a guy like Draymond Green, who was clowning the Celtics all finals, he was even saying that it was a great move for this team. So I also think the Celtics are still not done. I still think they have a little bit of money with their TPE. They have like $17 million, so they can go out and maybe try to get something off the bench. Thomas Bryant, man, the Lakers had to steal him because I think he would have been a great guy off the bench for the Boston Celtics. They just need another big bench guy there. But this team, man, and obviously I know Isaiah had the great pretender, takes and stuff about the Boston Celtics. But this team right now you get some dogs next year. I mean, this team for sure. You got Derek White. Yep. The great thing about the deal too with Brogdon, not even talk about that. They gave away Aaron Nesmith was obviously a first round pick, which I think you can go to Indiana and play a lot more there. They gave away Daniel Tice, which I think personally he could play a lot more there. I don't think he really did a whole lot in Boston outside of being a fan favorite, which I obviously can respect him for. And then they also, I think it was another like first round pick or something. They didn't give away a guy like a Marcus Smart. They didn't have to go all. I mean, Malcolm Brogdon's a very good player. So I mean, Brad Stevens doing his absolute magic. He went for a guy this past trade line and got Derek White. Derek White's not an end-all be-all type player. You see what he did in the playoffs. He had some big-time games. He plays great defense. Now you have three dogs defensively. It could be your starting five unit. Marcus Smart, Derek White, or Malcolm Brogdon. So I think this was a home run, great win pick for the Boston Celtics. I really like this player when they played against the Celtics because he always killed us. But I think now with him being on our side, this obviously I'm not saying puts us over the top, but I do think that it makes us better than worse, and it keeps us in that top three in the Eastern Conference Finals for sure.
What about you, Isaiah and Taylor? What is your thoughts on Malcolm Brogdon being a Boston Celtic? I'm going to start with you, Isaiah, on this. Do you think that this makes the Boston Celtics a legitimate contender?
Yeah, as a Laker fan, it hurts me to say it. It does. That it makes the Celtics a top contender in the Eastern Conference. Malcolm Brogdon, when I saw this trade go down, I was very shocked because I was like, that's the only thing you gave up for Malcolm Brogdon, who's, like Ben said, one of the most underrated players in all of basketball. Like, this dude does not get the respect that he deserves, whether it was in Indiana or whether it was in Milwaukee. He's a great scorer. He's a guy that can handle the ball. He can get to the rim. He can shoot the three really well. He just adds another weapon, especially offensively, to the Boston Celtics. And he was one guy that I really wanted the Lakers to get if they couldn't get like a Bradley Beal or a Kyrie Irving, because I think that he would have worked really well with LeBron and Anthony Davis in LA. And Boston, when you look at the package that they gave up, Nesmith, first round pick. He's going to get to play more in Indiana, which is good for him. But he wasn't really like a big part of the Celtics this year. Stauskas, 3-point shooting, they'll miss that a little bit, but he wasn't like a vital, impactful part. The other guys, they were a bit impactful in a way, but it's not like they gave up Marcus Smart or they gave us like one of the big pieces that was really instrumental in them going to the finals. Like, they basically gave up the lower end of their bench, and that was it, and a first round pick for next season. So I love the deal for the Celtics. I think you got Malcolm Brogdon on the cheap, and Brad Stevens works his magic once again and steals away Brogdon for the Celtics. A really, really underrated move and one of the steals of this free agency.
It definitely was one of the steals of this free agency. And anyways, now we'll go to Taylor here. What is your thoughts on this? On Malcolm Brogdon going to the Boston Celtics?
Well, yeah, he's like Ben said, and I kind of know this for a fact. The Malcolm Brogdon is definitely going to develop into one of the NBA's premier point guards, because especially since the Celtics really need someone, because they haven't. I know they haven't had an elite point guard since, you remember, Rajon Rondo and of course Isaiah Thomas recently, but Malcolm Brogdon, and then of course for him to team up with, say, Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown, this is probably the new big three ever since 2008, when it was Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Rondo, I think.
Ray Allen too.
Or Ray Allen, but we could say Rondo could be the fourth, but definitely Malcolm Brogdon can definitely fill that void, ever since, Rondo and of course Isaiah Thomas back then. Also, Brogdon is definitely the missing piece of the puzzle for the Celtics, because with I keep forgetting who the point guard was, but I honestly don't think he could be as good as Malcolm Brogdon. So, and I know he definitely wasn't as good as Rondo or Isaiah Thomas, but definitely this is definitely going to be a good. I'll say this is going to work out, and then especially with and I mean, I kind of like the Celtics also, but I mean, as a Sacramento Kings fan, I know we kind of have I know we've had a lot of players go from Sacramento to Boston or play for both teams also. Like, I remember Rondo was one of them, and I also know, and I don't know what happened to this guy also, Marcus Thornton. I think he just fell off the face of the league, but I honestly think this is going to work out for the Celtics.
I think it is. I think it is going to work out here for the Celtics. That's for sure. But anyways, folks, now we're going to go ahead and talk about free agent guard Dante DiVincenzo. He has agreed to a 2-year, $9.3 million contract with the Golden State Warriors. And we also have news in Lakerland, is that the Lakers and Nets are still engaged in trade talks on a deal that would send disgruntled guard Kyrie Irving to Hollywood and reunite with LeBron James. The talks have been preliminary to this point, and a couple major sticking points in the deal potentially happen is Brooklyn wants the Lakers to take back shooting guard Joe Harris and his $38 million over 2 years he has left with the Lakers, while the Lakers want Seth Curry instead. And the Lakers are reportedly hesitant to trade their 2027 and 2029 first-round picks to the Brooklyn Nets. The Lakers have traded way too many first-round picks. They really need first-round picks right now because I think that they need to get younger, and I think that they need to develop a homegrown star here. So, anyways, folks, with that being said here, I'll go to you, Isaiah. What is your thoughts on the Kyrie to the Lakers here? And then also give your thoughts on Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah, about that. I was very hot when I saw the notification pop up that DiVincenzo had signed with the Golden State Warriors, because I think we talked about this Loro on our free agency special. That was one of the guys that I really wanted to come to LA. You know, he played for Darvin Ham in Milwaukee. He's a great defender. He's a great three-point shooter. He's a great 3-and-D guy, and I think we had the money to get him. And I was keeping track of his free agency because I really wanted him. But for him to go to the Golden State Warriors, man, it really sucks and it hurts because Dante DiVincenzo is one of the most he's really underrated. He's a guy that, like I said, can defend. He's a guy that can shoot the three. He's that modern day 3-and-D wing that is required nowadays in the NBA. And I know Taylor knows him a lot because he played in Sacramento last year, but he was very instrumental in the Bucks winning the championship. He was very gritty. He was very tenacious on defense, and that's what the Lakers need. And I just can't believe he went to Golden State. It sucks that he did, but the Warriors, another great pickup by Bob Myers and the Golden State Warriors, getting Dante DiVincenzo. I don't know how they keep getting like these amount of money to sign these top or these like middle class free agent targets, but they somehow still manage to do it. But about the Kyrie thing, Loro, I know you mentioned how the Lakers need to stop trading their draft picks because they trade away so many draft picks and they need to get that homegrown star. But let me just say this. If this report is true, that the Lakers are reportedly hesitant to trade their 2027 and 2029 first-round pick to the Nets for Kyrie Irving, Rob Pelinka needs to be fired because, dude, we're talking about 5 first-round picks that are 5 years and 7 years down the line from now. You know, you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis on your basketball team. You're in it to win now. You got to do whatever you can to win now. And we're talking about trading these first-round picks from 5 years and 7 years from now to get Kyrie Irving, who's a star. He's a great player when he's like committed and when he's healthy. You're not trading like these 2027, 2029 first-round picks to get like a role player. You're trading it to get a superstar. So if it's true, like someone needs to be fired from the Lakers front office. That's absolutely ridiculous that's the holdup of the trade, that you just don't want to throw out the first-round picks. Look at the Rams. You know, the Loro, you know the Rams. The Rams said, screw them picks. And they put all their picks in and they went out and got the stars because they're a team that is built to win now. The Lakers need to take that idea and start using that because you have LeBron James. LeBron is not getting any younger. Anthony Davis is not getting any younger. You need to win now. We'll focus on the future when we get there. But to not trade a first-round pick from 5 years from now or 7 years from now, when we don't even know if that kid that you're going to draft in the first round is going to be a star, or is he going to be a scrub, or is he going to be a middle tier player? It's absolutely ridiculous. And that they better reconsider this, and they better trade those picks immediately, because if that's it that the Nets want and they're willing to take on Westbrook as well, You got to do that. It's a no-brainer. It's just utterly stupid that the Lakers front office is held on and hell bent on not trading those picks when you're trying to get a superstar with LeBron and AD and win another championship. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Definitely it definitely doesn't make sense here. That's for sure. So, anyways, I'll go to you, Ben. What is your thoughts on? I'll go to Ben in here for a minute here. So, what about you, Isaiah? What's your thoughts on Dante DiVincenzo going to the Warriors?
You mean Ben?
No, I meant you, Isaiah.
Oh, like I said in my beginning statement, I think that DiVincenzo to the Warriors was a really great pickup, and shout out to Bob Myers and Joe Lacob and the Warriors front office for just continuing to make these moves, which a lot of people just think that they don't have the money to do it, but then they somehow get it done. It reminds me of Les Snead in the Rams front office.
What about you, Ben? What is your takeaways on Dante DiVincenzo going to Golden State, and what is your other takeaways on the Lakers potentially trading Russell Westbrook for Kyrie Irving?
Yeah, sorry. As it's almost 1:20 a.m. here on the East Coast. But yeah, the Dante DiVincenzo news I think was very interesting for sure. Now, I can definitely see why that Golden State got him because they did lose out Gary Payton and Otto Porter Jr., two guys on their bench that were pretty big contributors a lot in this season. So DiVincenzo should be able to kind of fill into one of those type of roles for one of those players. But I really liked him. Liked him in Villanova. Plays with a very good underdog mentality. Would have liked him with the Celtics if they ever got the chance to. So I like that move. And then also the Kyrie situation. Lower and Isaiah, obviously. I have two kind of overall thoughts and some news about that. Um, there was actually the latest from Brian Windhorst today or yesterday, but very, very recent news. Windhorst said Kyrie Irving absolutely wants to be a Los Angeles Laker. This is what we know. The Lakers want Kyrie Irving. This is what we know. But making that happen, that's a different story. We don't got a really good understanding that any team seriously is on the market for Kyrie right now beyond the Lakers. It doesn't really mean that they don't like him or value him. They just don't know what the potential price would be that the Nets are asking. So that's the thing that the Nets are going to have to wait and see. Now, Isaiah, if there's obviously that report or anything that you were talking about was true or something like that, I think personally that the Nets with Russell Westbrook and Ben Simmons would be an absolute comedy fest. I wish that would happen, just so that would be interesting to kind of see. I think that Kyrie with back with LeBron and AD would be very interesting to see too. And obviously, it would be a great villain story too, as a Celtics fan, to obviously go from a team in Brooklyn where they obviously had him and Kevin Durant after what he said about Boston before. But obviously, if he went to Los Angeles, you think the booing would be bad from Brooklyn. Oh my goodness, he going to the Lakers. That would just make the rivalry just more the fun of it being more insane. So I'm kind of rooting for Kyrie to go to the Lakers, and hopefully it happens. We'll see how things go, but obviously I think Windhorst is pretty much saying that Kyrie. I think let me just say this. I think this is not really much of a hot take, but it could be. There is a better chance of Kyrie Irving leaving Brooklyn than Kevin Durant. I think personally that Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant together next season together, I think is very, very how should I put this nicely? I think they like each other, but I think that they're kind of I think the ownership doesn't want that anymore. I don't think that the ownership wants to see Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving play basketball anymore. But it depends really on the fit. And it also depends really in terms of what type of picks you get back and yeah, just what type of trade package. But I think my overall hot take is do not be surprised if Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are split up by this regular season. I think if one of them is on the active roster by October in Brooklyn, it's going to be Kevin Durant. Just because I don't see a huge enough offer for a team to just drastically take a guy like a Kevin Durant, giving up for something like, I mean, look at, I mean, Minnesota kind of already tried it. They already tried to give up a guy like Cat and Anthony Edwards. Minnesota declined. The Nets declined it. So I mean, if that's obviously the big package that's going to happen, I just don't see Kevin Durant leaving. Sadly.
Yeah. What about you, Taylor? What is your thoughts on Kyrie for Westbrook and also Dante DiVincenzo going to the defending world champion Golden State Warriors?
Well, DiVincenzo. Well, start with DiVincenzo. The Kings. I mean, I've seen this a lot. They start in Sacramento and eventually they go to the Bay Area. Like this kind of reminds me of Matt Barnes when who was a he's a Sacramento native, and when he started in Sacramento, and of course this is when the Kings were really good and the Warriors not so much, but Matt Barnes definitely played his best in Sacramento. Eventually he ends up in the Bay Area and plays pretty good for the Warriors. But I mean, this is actually a good time for DiVincenzo to shine and potentially win another championship, especially since like Isaiah said, he's very underrated and he's one of the depth players that's pretty much required in not just basketball but every other sport. And he can potentially defend the three and even shoot the three, which is another type of player that basketball teams need these days. So he can definitely fit that role. Now, as far as Kyrie potentially going to the Lakers, I mean, I honestly think this is definitely going to blow up in Pelinka's face again, because the Lakers, to be honest, are stacked as it is already. Because, with LeBron, AD, I mean, to get Westbrook out of there, but I mean, you still have, like I said, you still have LeBron, you still have AD, you still have Carmelo. I mean, this for sure is definitely going to blow up in his face again. And I honestly think it's time to, forget about the superstars, just go with the draft picks. I mean, you're just wasting your money basically, because it happened already last year. If they pull the trigger on Westbrook for Kyrie, it just may as well happen again, because I mean, they're not getting any younger, and obviously these days younger players tend to make better athletes. So honestly, this is going to be a bust for the Lakers if they get Kyrie. What happened this past season probably will happen again.
And anyways, now that being said, here our final two topics of the night is that the Lakers have reunited with their former draft pick at center Thomas Bryant and linked him to a one-year deal last night. Thomas Bryant and Damian Jones are both expected to compete for the starting job at center for the Lakers this season. I'm going to start with you, Isaiah. Let me tell you my prediction who I think should start at center. I think it should be, I picked Thomas Bryant, because I think that when the Lakers drafted him in that class with Kyle Kuzma and Josh Hart, Thomas Bryant, even though he's 6'11", he's a dude that can block shots. He's a guy that can make really amazing dunks, shoot the jumper from inside and out. And I think that he can also give you some threes from there on out. And I think Thomas Bryant, it's great to have him back. I think that I felt like that he could have been a power forward with Big Zoo at center, but that did not happen. But I want to get your thoughts on this, Isaiah. I mean, I think Thomas Bryant, it's great to have him back. I've always liked this kid. He was great in Washington last season. And I think that now that he's back with the Lakers, I could see him really being the long-term answer at center.
I love this signing by the Los Angeles Lakers. This was one of the guys when the reports came out that Bryant was down to the Lakers, the Celtics, and I believe the Spurs were in it. that it was the 3 teams in the race, I was like, please, Thomas Bryant, please sign with the Lakers. The Lakers accidentally let you go. They shouldn't have let you go. You proved in Washington before you got hurt that you were a monster, especially on the boards, especially if you throw him the ball into the paint. He's going to bully his way into the paint. He really reminded me of a young Shaquille O'Neal when he was with the Los Angeles Lakers, especially playing in Summer League and then playing with Washington. He was a monster before he tore his ACL. So I'm glad that he's back now with the Lakers. It's a 1-year deal. It's a minimum deal. So if it doesn't work out, you can just move off of him in the offseason. So I love this move for the Lakers. They're getting younger. They're getting more athletic. Loro, I do got to disagree with you. I think Bryant should be the backup just because I think when you look at Damian Jones, he's a more athletic shot blocker and a rim protector than Thomas Bryant. He's a better defender than Thomas Bryant, and I think he's kind of reminds me of JaVale McGee, while Thomas Bryant reminds me a lot of like Dwight Howard, when they had that Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, that very successful combination back in like the 2020 NBA season. I think you need that athletic rim protector to defend early on before you can get the guy that comes off the bench and give you buckets from the paint. So for me, if I were coaching the Lakers, if I was Darvin Ham, I would actually put in Damian Jones to start, because I think you need that shot blocker to start the game with, and then you can start Thomas Bryant, who could just bully his way to the paint or in the paint when LeBron and AD sits down, and he can still keep you afloat and get you successful minutes that way.
I could respect your opinion on why you don't want Thomas Bryant starting. Like you said, Damian Jones is more athletic and all that. I could see that, but I want Thomas Bryant to start is because, like you said, he can bully his way through the paint, could play really good defense, clog the paint, block shots. Thomas Bryant still has a lot of potential to be a star in this league, and I think that Thomas Bryant, the Lakers should have not, like you said, they should have not let him go. I think he could have been a big part of this future with this whole Lakers young core. But I think that what the Lakers are doing this offseason, they are getting younger, which I like. I think pretty much my favorite signee so far this offseason, it has to be Lonnie Walker, because I think Lonnie Walker could be our shooting guard of the future, because now that he kind of didn't have a lot of playing time with San Antonio, I could see him thriving here in LA, because he has a lot. He can shoot the ball, you can give him the ball in clutch situations, and he can shoot the clutch jumper. So I think Thomas Bryant is a great signing, but I could respect your opinion why you went with Damian Jones. So anyways, Taylor, what is your thoughts on the Lakers signing Thomas Bryant back to the Lakers?
Well, I could personally, I mean, as a Kings fan, I could personally take your word for it. I mean, they shouldn't have let him go, but and honestly, I kind of wish the Kings could get a guy like him as well, because but the guy who can bully ball. I don't think the Kings have had someone like that since I mean, I think Marvin Bagley was kind of that way, but he's in Detroit now, but the Kings, I mean, they could really use a guy, especially as a good compliment to De'Aaron Fox, who can really waltz his way through the paint with the Euro step and all that. But on the note of Thomas Bryant and the Lakers, I think he can definitely he's still got a lot of potential, because he didn't do well with the Lakers his first time around, but then he goes to other teams. He resurrected his career, and now he's back where he started. I think he just might prove himself and let the Lakers know why they shouldn't have let him go in the first place. But and not to mention, getting younger, with players like him who can definitely, do like, a little Euro step, a little bully ball, waltz their way through the paint right to the hoop. Thomas Bryant, I think, can definitely fit that category. And at the same time, like I said before, he can show the Lakers why they shouldn't have let him go in the first place.
Absolutely. So anyways, let's go ahead and talk about our final topic of the night is that OKC Thunder's prized number 2 pick in Chet Holmgren made his summer league debut on Monday, and he also put up 23 points and blocking 6 shots. This performance is encouraging to me because I think Chet Holmgren is going to be really special for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I think that this is a start of what's to come this season when you have Chet Holmgren paired with SGA, Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, and I think that, and also Basley. This is a fun young core for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But I'm going to be really patient with them, and I think that Oklahoma City is not going to contend this year. I could really see OKC contending with this young core that they have here because Sam Presti does a great job drafting here, and I think he really got a gem in Chet Holmgren, Isaiah.
Sorry, I was frozen for a second, but I loved what I saw out of Chet Holmgren. What a performance by the big fella in his debut. I said that during our draft show when we were giving our reactions to every pick as they came in, I said that Chet Holmgren will be the next Giannis Antetokounmpo, and my opinion has not changed one bit. In fact, it's gotten even more concrete since I've watched him play on that basketball court in the summer league. I mean, he was amazing. He was doing Dirk level one-legged fadeaways. He was handling the ball. He was passing it really well. He was shooting threes. I mean, this guy, if he could get bigger, I mean, I'm talking in terms of weight, he could get bigger and stronger. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with for years and years to come. And he's going to be what Kristaps Porzingis should have been before all the injuries killed his career. Like, he's going to be a dominant force if he can just get super big. If he gets super big, super muscular, this kid's gonna be a major force to be reckoned with. And I do agree with you, Loro. You look at Oklahoma City. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Bazley, they have their Darius Bazley. You have Josh Giddey, very underrated young player. And now you got Chet Holmgren. The Thunder have something very special brewing there in OKC. And they're going to be contenders, not this year, not next season, but probably 2 years from now as they continue to develop. But I loved what I saw out of Josh Giddey. He reminds me a lot of Anthony Davis, but a better offensive force than Anthony Davis. I mean, this dude had 6 blocks in his summer league debut, and he's only that skinny. Imagine if he gets bigger, man. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with for years to come. And the league better watch out because Chet Holmgren is coming. I loved what I saw. Can't wait to see more out of him, especially as summer league continues and also in the preseason and then this upcoming season. But I'm ecstatic and stoked for Chet Holmgren's debut.
This even makes my rookie of the year pick even tougher because I want Paolo Banchero because I think he went to my college program at Duke. I think Paolo Banchero can be good. I think he's going to have a great rookie season. But if Chet Holmgren keeps this up during summer league, then my mind could change.
Well, for me, from day one, it's been Chet Holmgren as my rookie of the year because I watched him at Gonzaga. He was a monster there. I think he's going to be better in the NBA because the Thunder are going to make him bulk up. They're going to make him put on weight, and he's going to be scary. I don't know if he's going to be scary right away, but he's got to put on that weight because he's kind of like Brandon Ingram. He's a 7-foot Brandon Ingram with handles like Kyrie, and also he's got a 3-point shot that is lethal. he's going to be a monster. And I just think that you got to give him time. You got to be patient with this kid. You can't just say, hey, throw him out to the fire right away and especially expect him to ball out. So for me, I think Holmgren is right now my number one choice to be Rookie of the Year. And then I probably will have to go with Banchero and Jabari Smith, depending on how the Magic and the Rockets go this year. But for me, Holmgren's got to be my number one because I think he's going to have a great rookie year.
Oh, he is. And I expect him to be the starting center for OKC.
Yeah, for sure. You don't draft the guy number 2 to have him sit on the bench. It makes no sense. And I think that him and Josh Giddey with Darius Baisley and SGA, oh boy, Oklahoma City, they got something cooking, man. They got something great cooking.
What about you, Taylor? What is your thoughts on what is your thoughts on whatchamacallit? What is your thoughts on Chet Holmgren's summer league performance?
Oh yeah, I saw that on TV. He definitely, he exploded. And like Isaiah said, this Oklahoma City starting 5, I mean, if they start him at center and then you add him with Beasley and SGA and the other 2 guys, this could definitely be perhaps the most deadly starting 5 ever in the NBA this season. And then not to mention, with Chet and with Holmgren, how I saw him, and like Isaiah said, he's well rounded. He's got, the shooting technique of Dirk, the handles of Kyrie, the 3-point range of Curry, or I don't know about that, but I mean, I saw him pull off those kick out fadeaways like Dirk did. This guy is pretty much, all those guys. He's the complete package. So, and for being as tall as, Dirk, or, I mean, I don't know if he blocked any shots, but I can say if he did, he could probably do it kind of like, say, we remember Dikembe Mutombo. Like he's about as tall as Mutombo was. So definitely he is the complete package in my opinion. So, but the Thunder, hasn't had I think this is with Holmgren being inserted into the system, he can definitely reestablish Oklahoma City's presence as a championship contender in the NBA.
You're definitely right about that. So, anyways, we're gonna bring in John Alcorn, that one dude 2020. And I know, John, you're on here for a special rant that you're about to go on here with Baker Mayfield. First of all, John, welcome back to our program here. It's been a while since you appeared on our shows, and good to have you back on here again. Give us your take on Baker Mayfield going to Carolina, and also thoughts on both the Cavs and the Browns overall as a franchise.
This is my one and only time appearance because I want to get to the atrocity that Isaiah had to say. How dare you put the Carolina Panthers in conversation? And first of all, Sam Darnold, what are they going to trade him for? A 7th round pick? I mean, this guy is completely invaluable. This is the thing. This last year was supposed to be the year. Can he be a starting quarterback? Or is he going to be another 1st round pick who obviously got his talents wasted in New York but just couldn't develop as a quarterback? He is a bum. He's not a 1st stringer. He's maybe a 2nd or 3rd string quarterback. And no, this does not save Matt Rose's job. In fact, this adds more pressure. I mean, you get a 1st overall pick, Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. There's going to be a lot of pressure. I understand that Baker Mayfield last year was injured. You can say whatever you want. And personality-wise, the media doesn't like him, which totally is the stupidest thing in the world, because if Kirk Cousins or Phillip Rivers or Drew Brees or Brady or Lamar Jackson or any of those guys had some of the issues with how many different head coaches, GMs, and coordinators, you would give them a pass. You would give them an excuse. So why is he different for Baker? Because he does a couple extra progressive commercials with some soccer moms. I mean, that's absolutely insane. This maybe helps the Panthers' chances, but again, it's not going to be as difficult for the Bucks. Again, it's Brady, Godwin, all those guys outside of Antonio Brown. So I mean, they're going to be fine. Bucks are going to win the division. It's not going to be hard. Panthers are not going 10-7 this year, because I think with that much pressure on him, I wonder how Baker's going to handle it being the guy. Because you don't trade a guy and pay him whatever you're going to pay Baker to sit on the bench. This is not the Chicago Bears of 2020 when you had the contract of Nick Foles. When they had the contract, I believe, of Andy Dalton, it was a complete and utter disaster. It's great for Baker. The biggest middle finger I have seen in my lifetime from an organization to a starting quarterback. You go to a guy who potentially could be suspended 12 games, because apparently there's a rumor I heard that they gave a recommendation, whatever, like you be suspended 12 games, and after that you can apply for reinstatement. Obviously, the NFLPA and Watson said no, so you're practically going back and forth on how many games he could get suspended or maybe not get suspended, because, like we said in the NFLPA, the commissioner, the head coaches, and GMs are held to a higher standard. With that being said, if Jerry Jones, if Robert Kraft, or any of those guys didn't get any punishment, it makes me wonder, what is the outcome going to be for Watson and the Browns? And the Browns deserve to lose every single game for this year and next year and the year after and the year after, because Baker, if healthy, could obviously be cheaper. You don't give a quarterback a fully guaranteed contract. So they're a disgrace in sports. But the Cavs, they have 6 guards on their roster. I mean, I'll probably do a full rant next week when nobody's in the house, so I can go all crazy. But the Cavs are dumb. They deserve to lose every single game next year. You gave Garland the max. You gave Ricky Rubio a 3-year deal. There's no way that you're going to give Colin Sexton the max. Absolutely a disgrace. Cleveland Browns, I hope you lose every single game next year. And Angie Berry, you're at one of the dumbest GMs in football right now.
It's pretty well said here, John. I mean, we're going to go right now to final thoughts. And announcements for you is that Wild Sports Talk Tonight will no longer be called Wild Sports Talk Tonight after tonight. So starting next week, the IM6 Network is proud to announce that we will be rebranding Wild Sports Talk. It's still going to be the same show, same format and all that, but we're going to call this new show called Sports Weekly. Tune in to Sports Weekly for the best recap and rundown of the weekly happening in the sports world. So, Isaiah and Taylor, final thoughts.
Taylor, you can go first.
Yeah. So, as far as, I'm really looking forward to this upcoming, not only basketball, but hockey season 2. Football, I don't know. I don't follow it that much, but I mean, obviously the only sport we can watch right now is baseball, and I still can't believe my Angels lost to the freaking Orioles, because they're really struggling, and it's always an embarrassment when you lose to a team that's worse than you. But at the same time, they're dealing with a lot right now, and of course, but as far as basketball season goes, I'm still waiting to find out, who the Kings can sign in free agency, and they gotta they gotta find some players who, especially one who is, like the total package I mentioned, like Chet Holmgren is for OKC, and also, I think it should really be on every general manager's agenda, and not just basketball, but also hockey and pretty much every sport, that you should try to get younger, because these days people who are, I think 26, 26 and younger, I mean, between the ages of 18 and 26 or 27, they tend to make better athletes. So, if you're gonna try and build a core, try to build a team that's young, because they tend to make better athletes these days.
All right, and Isaiah, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is it was a great show. I want to thank Christy Wilson, John for hopping on and also tuning in, Ishmael Lancaster, Casey King, Sarge, Tim Fueler, and Andrew Jesse for all tuning in and sharing this show and commenting tonight. We really appreciate you. I'm looking forward to the debut of Sports Weekly next week. It is the same show as Wild Sports Talk. We're just changing the name, but Sports Weekly is coming to you next week. Get ready we're going to talk about the biggest news and highlights and games from the world of the sports world. So it's going to be so much fun. Looking forward to that. Shout out to you, Kevin Biggio, for hitting this baseball my way and giving me a souvenir. Shout out to you. But yeah, my last final thought that I have is, I don't want to end this show on a somber note, but kind of have to, is, prayers up to Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, who was shot while giving a speech today, was rushed to the hospital just now. Prayers up to him. And hopefully he recovers. And I believe there were, and I also want to give a shout out or prayers up to all the families that are affected by the shooting that happened in Chicago on July 4th. Just a devastating incident that happened, and prayers go up to everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. So anyways, with that being said here.
Oh, hang on, Lower. I've got one more final thought.
Okay.
So yeah, this new show, Sports Weekly, is definitely going to I'm really looking forward to it. So, and then at the same time, I also want to give shout outs to everyone who commented, and then of course also on Monday, be sure to tune into our other shows, especially on Monday, my hockey show Face Off, because with the draft having just wrapped up, the first round, we've got rounds 2 through 7 in coming weeks, and NHL free agency next week as well. I may as well have a special for that as well. But I mean, the sports world, it never sleeps. So you just gotta stay on your toes. You gotta stay updated. So all the viewers of the IM6 Sports Network, I wanna thank you for tuning in, and hopefully you keep listening to us wherever you are.
All right. Anyways, for Isaiah, for Taylor, this is Loro signing off for now. Sports Weekly next week, and the return of Batter Up will be on Sunday. Have a great rest of your night, everybody.